Experience 10 days of Grand Europe trip for easy EMI of Rs 25,000 only with GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
Wonder Diamonds, South India's largest lab-grown diamond brand, stores at Chennai, Coimbatore, Bangalore and Hyderabad.
All of you, welcome to Galatta Plus. Jim, Arjun, Regina and Ishwak. I want to begin by asking, I loved Rocket Boys 1 and I thought what was amazing was it was, like a science-based show, which is like not really easy to pull off and kind of, but it was almost like an adventure. And I want you to look back on your characters and tell me the one trait each of you kind of liked the most that you did not know about this particular character. Because all of these are public figures and maybe you kind of vaguely knew about them, but now that you're so close to them because you've played them, what is the one thing that each one of you really liked about the characters that you played? Beginning with you.
I like his depth of curiosity in so many various things and his dedication and determination to investigate that curiosity so that he knows what he's talking about.
Right. Right.
I think Dr. Kalam, as we have seen him, he's got this really soft image. He was like the most liked president. He was like this school teacher.
Right.
But you read about the man and what he's been a part of. The kind of doggedness that he had, I don't think you would really associate that with him. Fiercely wanting to go on this particular path of making India a nuclear power. To see that in him at such a young age, because we've seen him only as a president and as this likable, soft human being. So I think that whole doggedness to pursue this thing for India, I think that was the quality.
I think there's a bit of that in your career as well. I'm going to come to that a little later. So, Regina.
I think the grace with which Mrinalini Sarabhai handled everything, in spite of being amongst men and trying to, make a mark for herself. She was someone who was also very headstrong, and the things that she did and the awareness that she brought about through her art form, not having to necessarily talk about things, but to put it out there to the world in a way that people would understand and also like, was very beautiful. I think her dialogue, her love language was probably that.
Yeah.
Her grace.
I also like the fact that she was so unflappable,
Yes.
There was, when you find out about,
Absolutely.
He's not told his parents, you almost expect an explosion or whatever.
Yeah.
But then you're like,
calm, right? Yeah, because I think there's a time for everything, and if you're going to pile one thing over the other, you're just never going to find a solution. You're only going to find problems.
Yeah.
So she knew what she was doing,
Right.
and maybe calculated in one sort of a way. Her husband was a scientist, but she also knew how to work it.
Yeah. Ishwak?
I wouldn't be able to put my finger on one particular thing.
Yeah.
I think with Vikram, I experienced all the seasons. It was like, it's, he was a man of science at the heart of it. But, he was just very human. I think, and while performing, while preparing, how it sort of resonated with me was that it was human all along. Whether it was the whole show is about human emotions. And the fact that how the difference, I guess, in different characters came about in the sense that how one behaves in certain situations and how the other does, in whatever situation that person is in. So it was just that's what stayed with me. Even now, it's just, he was very human. And I got to experience different emotions with him.
Rocket Boys 1 was voted IMDb's most popular Indian web series of the year. Did you expect this to happen? Did you expect, I'm sorry to say this, but a science-based show to take off like that?
I guess undermine the strength of science or any genre for that matter. I think, what I've come to realize is that because I've had experience of reading different scripts and also being a part of some interesting projects of late, what the theme is and what's in the backdrop, which often comes to the foreground, is in this case science. That has little to do with storytelling.
Yeah.
I mean, it has everything, but at the same time, it is not everything in the sense that it's, like I said, it's that layering of human relationships, interpersonal relationships, personal journeys, and how that kind of stays true to the ethos of the storytelling, which is the central theme. In this case, it was science.
I think that any subject matter has the potential, has the seed to make a wonderful, brilliant, exciting, entertaining story.
Right, right.
It just depends on who's watering it and tending to it and making it grow. And I think it really depends on the makers and the storytellers themselves. And in this case, we were in
Very good
brilliant
yeah.
hands with
Yeah.
Abhay Pannu. I mean,
Yeah.
the original script sent to us for the whole 2 seasons, as he had outlined it. Of course, they were tweaked and changed and modified as things continued. But already on paper, it was just so good.
Right.
You knew that it was going to be exciting.
Right. I also have this theory that because as a country we are so into engineering and the science thing is instilled in us, that somehow we take to it probably easier than maybe other audiences. Because when I see similar movies being made like in other parts of the world, there's a deliberate effort to like simplify it or
Water down the science.
water down and amp up the relationships. Here it's like it's equal. It's like it's not like one is subservient to the other. So I thought, I mean, it's just a theory. So I don't know if I have.
Are they all parallel stories running as
Yeah,
well?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I mean, they also have more than just science
Yeah.
happening. And I think it's also a patriotic show in some sense of the word. And I think as an audience in India, we all love a bit of that patriotism.
Right.
There's a bit of history in it. And
Yeah.
it's not just science at the end of the day.
Yeah. No. And
And-
there's a kick-ass line in the trailer for season 2, which is like how India became a nuclear nation,
Sure,
and
yeah.
that's pretty much the grabber. I mean, like
It
you
is.
just watch it and you want to see
It is.
like how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
I would like to say that I think Abhay and all of us, well, at least the people on the science side of the table, we took great pains to try to never let it feel like we're giving a science lesson. Apart from that one scene where I'm literally giving a science
Right,
lesson, the
right,
cosmic
right.
rays thing, we tried as much as possible for a scientific explanation to be rooted organically in something the character wants right now, in the scene. And so I need to describe, what are all the different aspects of a swimming pool reactor, for example, because I'm talking to someone who's not giving me that access.
yeah.
So I'll say, but didn't you do this with this? Didn't you do this with this? Didn't you do this with this? And as a consequence, I've now explained what a swimming pool reactor is. And I think that's a good thing to keep in mind, because if an audience has been brought in to watch an entertaining show and you're busy giving them science lessons, they'll be like, I'm sorry, we would have enrolled in a course. I think we're here to be as engaging and entertaining as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I hope that has come across in season 2 as well, that we never just talk about science to make it seem like we're really intelligent scientists, but that we root it in actual conflict within the scene.
Yeah. You mentioned that he'd outlined season 1 and season 2 like at the beginning. So when the show was commissioned, was it already a 2-season
Yeah.
show? Okay, all right.
Always planned.
We
Always-
shot it like that
Yeah,
as
you
well.
saw
almost
that, and
Yeah.
that's something that came out
A chunk
recently.
of
I think
season
you
2
mentioned
with
it
season
in an
1,
interview
yes.
or something. Sorry,
A huge chunk of season 2 with season
was
1.
shot that. So
Yeah.
it was commissioned
Yeah.
as
Yes.
a
As two
Limited
shows.
series, 2 seasons, and we shot 80% pre the release of season 1. We would have loved to shoot all of it,
Yeah.
but time constraints, money constraints,
Right,
etc.
right.
But it's good. I think it gave Abhay the chance to edit, take a
Yeah.
step back, have
Tweak
a chance
things a
to
bit.
fill the holes in maybe a different way than we would have earlier.
Yeah.
Right. What do you have to say about the fact that there have been some criticisms against the show about how some characters have been handled? Every story, there has to be some creative liberty, because you cannot be too true to what it is, because sometimes you conflate characters, sometimes events are you do something. Is there a line somewhere that can be drawn? Because there was a lot of controversy about this one particular character, some other things. So like how did you guys process that?
What you've got to see is that at the heart of it, are you really tweaking or altering the spirit of that age and the ethos, what's at the heart of it? That was never done. I mean, I wouldn't belittle the efforts that Abhay put in terms of research and in terms of creating characters by saying that it was a creative liberty. If you look at the authenticity of even the characters, the names may have been changed, certain background might have been changed, which is certainly to drive the plot forward, because there are constraints. As a writer, you have to follow certain norms when it comes to the plot, but when it comes to authenticity, it is as authentic as the real character, because he represents what the real character represented. So changing the background or the name, in my opinion, doesn't change anything.
Okay.
Also, I feel like we're talking about 4 or 5 principal characters here. So, but were they the only people who did everything? No, there were a lot more people. But the show is made about these 4 or 5 people. So, there's always bound to be the few characters, few people who've made great contributions to be left out for the sake of
Streamlining a story.
Yeah, streamlining the story. So,
Right.
nothing was done with any other bad intention or anything as such. It was just to make a story more cohesive.
No, I wasn't going with a bad intention.
No, of course not. But there was some criticism
Yeah.
about a few characters being omitted or things like that.
Yeah, what he's saying is so relevant, because you take a group of people and then if you sort of combine them, then that represents a school of thought, which is what the idea was. And I'm purely speaking as a reader, as an audience, as an actor, someone who is responding to the text, that this person is historically, it may have been 2 people, and if it's say combined into one, it's representing a school of thought that posed a certain challenge to the protagonist or the other characters in the story.
Right.
And you have to do it to streamline things. It is there's no other way to do it.
There are a couple characters in the show that are composite characters.
Yeah.
They've been put together from multiple influences in order to provide conflict, or in order to be a bouncing off stone for, I think, particularly Homi Bhabha. Right? We have these characters that are otherwise fictional. But like what Ishwak said, I think that the composite of the forces that were against Homi Bhabha have been solidified into these few people, and trying to fit them exactly into who they were historically, it may not quite work.
Okay.
I think there was some criticism in relation to on religious lines, and I think Abhay Pannu's plan on that was to subvert perhaps notions of these religious differences, and we really hope that you watch season 2 and you see how these things finally ended up. I did feel that some of the criticism of it, I wondered if they finished watching the series. I wondered if they watched till the end. I really did. Because sometimes it felt like, well, but did you watch the last scene? Because maybe you'd have a slightly different take on it if you got all the way to the end.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they'd have the same take.
Yeah.
But it started to feel, from what I was reading, like, oh, maybe you haven't finished watching the show.
Right.
You've had a knee-jerk reaction to something.
Yeah.
Is it necessary? Is it not necessary? Could the same work have been done without it? Very possibly.
Right.
I can't say.
Yeah.
I can't say.
Yeah. Regina, you've acted in a lot of Southern films, but you've really hit your groove in the OTT space, and I think, like, even the movie with Sonam Kapoor, Ek Ladki Ko Dekha To, how did this happen? I mean, like this, because you start out at one place, you're not, I mean, with all due respect, you're not getting the best offers and parts or whatever it is, but one sees you around, but then suddenly you just explode. I mean, like, what's that like?
I wouldn't know, actually. I can't put a finger on that, because I'm looking at it from this side of the fence, right? I'm just doing my thing.
Yeah.
And that's how it's always been. I think I've always been an organic person when it comes to work. I think the whole networking thing doesn't sit too well with me. I can't do it. And I just do my thing. That's probably why you see me here and there. And also, I've been dabbling a lot with, and this has been a very conscious effort to also keep my Tamil and Telugu work going on, because when I miss out there, I have people asking me, why aren't we seeing you here?
Yeah.
I mean, and I love it, because I I can see that people want to see more of me, but I'm just one person and I get to do all of these things. In fact, while shooting for Rocket Boys itself, I would land at 5 a.m. in the morning ready to go shoot, and I'd probably be dancing that entire day, you know. So it is tough to like handle everything. And when it comes to the offers, I'm glad that you pointed that out. I do hope that I get better offers that I would take up in films and in the OTT space as well. But the OTT space has been great for me. You know, I've done 3 Hindi OTT shows and 1 in Tamil, 1 in Telugu, 4 released last year. So work that way has been great, and they've been great shows. I'm happy to be doing work like this, and I'm glad that there are filmmakers and, you know, creators who are seeing the potential in me and want to tap into that potential. And that's the most that I can ask for. And I like going with the flow. I like things to take their time and their space and their energy. I'm gonna be here for forever. I mean, forever. So yeah, I'll just be here doing my thing.
Regina's a
I'm
Wonder
going to
Woman.
live forever.
Yeah, I guess.
She's a Wonder Woman. I mean, she would land up at 5 in the morning, shoot the whole day, and then fly off to another location, do some serious kid over there, and then, you know, come back. And she's been working non-stop. She's been a huge inspiration.
So have you mastered the army trick of like falling asleep like that? You know,
I can do it anywhere. I'm telling you, loud music playing, I'm like with my mouth open. But yeah, I mean, that comes with the job.
Arjun, you had a long gap after the release of Sri Lanka. The doggedness that you talked about earlier, that's where I'm coming to right now. You know, on behalf of all the aspiring actors out there, how did you keep the faith?
I had no choice.
I mean, I was hoping you'd give something like
That's as raw as it gets.
Inspirational.
That's as raw as it gets.
He's a realist.
No, I think after Sri Lanka, I think that was a tougher phase because I did 4 or 5 films which never came out.
Right.
Like there was Jhund, there was Pada, there was Rocket Boys, and suddenly after 4 years, everything released in a span of 1 month. But I think that waiting period for the films to release was a lot more difficult because, you know, you had done all these projects, you were part of good films, but none of it had come out, and it doesn't matter. If it doesn't come out, then it doesn't matter. So that was mentally a very tough phase.
How did you handle it?
I don't know. I just I'm lucky that I'm a little. I see the positive side of things. Like I don't get. Like I didn't wake up every morning being bitter or anything. There were times where you were like, oh shit, when is this going to happen? When is this going to come out? But I'm just built that way where I just don't lose hope, or I think that's just.
What an inspiration.
Yeah.
Nice.
What
But
an
it can be
inspiration.
difficult. It's because you go around telling people, hey, I've done these films. It's very different from saying I'm not getting offers or I'm not getting jobs. But this was like, oh, okay.
It's better than that at least.
Yeah.
It's a little better than that.
At least there's that hope that
That
it will come out
out.
one day, it'll come out.
Yeah.
And you've been working, so that's kind of this all. Now, Ishwak, how do you play somebody of whom there is so little like video reference? You know, it's like there's is it, you know, is it a lot of you and the director discussing how you want this character to come across? Because the thing is, yes, there's a lot written about this person, and yes, there is some like you know, footage out there, but
But I would never refer to video footage.
you would never do that.
No.
You don't want to be influenced.
No, I want to get into the head of the guy and probably read about him as much as I can. So 2 sources. One is which is the Bible, which is the script, and of course the director and his vision. And the great thing, why I say that Abhay is one of my favorite directors and one of the great directors, because the mark of a great director, at least from an actor's point of view, is that he would just let you be and find your way, which he did. It's not just that he knows he has a certain approach. He knows that for this, I'm finding my way, which is probably something I haven't done before. So whether it meant reading up on his, just building him from scratch, you know, what were his early years like? So I read up on his, on what did it mean to be an Ahmedabadi in those days, you know, having that Gandhian influence, that influence of Tagore, wanting to pursue science in the West, the Jain Adab, the stories that would have come to him inherited from his grandparents and parents. So being an heir to Calico Mills and being a Sarabhai. So all those things, I mean, we kind of, and I would share notes with him, because I guess you don't, the thing is that this could be a really, you could really go down the rabbit hole, but then I think it's not a solitary pursuit. You need to kind of engage. You need to keep, and we constantly rehearsed. I did scenes with, workshop with Regina, Jim, and Abhay, of course. Me and Abhay exchanged a lot of notes. So yeah, that's how we found him. It's a bit, of course, keeping the script at the heart of it. You wonder, even if you wonder, it's like I let the script drive me to certain places rather than just, going out there and reading anything and everything that's out there.
I do wish you get to see his script though, because there's the scene
there's
printed, and then there's Ishwak's
Notes.
notes on the side all over. Like there's no space for anything else.
Not for all the scenes.
It's like it's actually quite,
scenes,
and he will not let you near it. Like no one knows
But you
what's
seem
in
to
it.
have seen it.
I saw a glimpse of it and
No, you can't read it because it's mostly like science is cool. Homie is angry with me for some reason this scene. I don't know what it is. But yeah, lots of notes. So many notes.
we've all had a glance from far, I guess.
Right.
So many notes.
So that's a project now. You got to get that now.
Get the script.
I've tried, believe me, I've tried.
Please, releasing the pages.
Yeah.
auction it.
That's going to be real publicity for the show. Ishwak's notes for the character of Vikram Sarabhai. So,
Ishwak
I-
Singh playing Vikram Sarabhai.
I write a
is
lot of radical
certified
stuff,
lunatic.
so I think it's best that it stays with me.
He's never shown it to anybody, so
Right.
yeah.
now, Jim, this is this has been asked of a lot of people that came from theatre to cinema, and your big breakthrough was Neerja. Now, did you have to do some kind of unconditioning in order to thing, or did it just come instinctively, moving from this medium to that medium?
No, I don't think there was unconditioning per se. It was more like learning the rules of this system, which is different from the stage system. The frame is different. The people you're trying to reach are different. I think it all just depends on that. On stage, there's some things you have to get over, like the fact that you can see that the edge of the stage is right there and the audience is right there, but I have to be totally involved in this scene, and I have to kind of pretend that that doesn't exist, which you learn and you get used to. Similarly, on a set, sometimes you're not looking at the person, you're looking at a tennis ball on top of a light stand, and you're trying to emote with that. So all of that stuff was the kind of stuff where you just have to tweak and learn and figure out, and in the beginning it really throws you off and you feel you don't understand the medium, and then with some time and experience you just kind of learn it.
Right.
And then it becomes easier and easier every day, I guess, with that experience and practice. But apart from that, no, I don't think so. I think,
Acting is acting.
yeah, you're more at the mercy in a film to the director. You're less at the mercy on stage. I can go with what I think may work better than what the person said. I can at least try it on stage. Maybe it'll fail, and maybe I'll get a dartoing, backstage that you're ruining my play and I hate, whatever. Maybe it'll work. Maybe the whole audience will giggle as I expected or as I hoped,
Yeah.
And then the director is like, that was my idea. Or whatever, Whereas in a film, you're more, they decide the shots, they decide the edits, they decide how long you linger in an emotion.
Yeah.
Just took me a while to get used to that. You're at the mercy of the editor, the director, all of these kinds of things. They kind of chart out your performance to a certain extent. Then it depends. Did they like your performance or did they not? If they really liked it, maybe they'll linger on the bits you also lingered on. If they kind of are more worried about the pace of the show in general, maybe those bits that made the performance sweet have just been cut off. You can never,
Yeah.
It's out of your hands.
Yeah, it's out of your hands. You're not in control. Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. There's something that I read in an interview by you, Arjun, and I want you all to kind of give me your opinion on that as actors. He said, an actor should be judged only after about,
Push. Yeah.
you know what?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
about 10 to 15 films.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a fair thing?
I mean, not for producers.
Or
it
the
sounds
audiences.
nice.
It's just like you were saying that because it takes that much time to get into the groove of something. Is that
No,
what?
I think because we're so fresh at the beginning of our careers that there's so much more to give. There's so much more. You spent lesser time in front of a camera, so you obviously have a lot more to give. And I think after you've seen when you see performances of actors over the years, sometimes you get into those mode where you know how to play a scene,
Right.
but you might have accidentally fallen on how to do that early on in your career. But then maybe you set into patterns and things like that. More work comes in, less time to prepare. I don't know, but I just feel like, I mean, we spoke about Nanbagal Nerathamaikam recently. Look at the way Mammootty did this at the age of 70. For him to do this 40 years after he's been in films, for him to come up with a performance like that, that's the mark of a great performer, I
But you
think.
can't wait for 40 years to evaluate an actor, right? It's
No,
like-
of course not.
yeah.
But I'm saying that, you look at a career over a span of time and how much an actor can bring in even after 20, 30, 40 films. That's where that's what I meant with that.
Okay.
Like there's a freshness when you see the person first.
Yeah.
And a lot
There's
of
a
that has to
fresh-
do
exactly.
with oh wow, this is a new personality I've not
Yeah.
experienced before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I guess over some years you realize what is personality and what is craft. Maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an
Nobody
interesting
knows, yeah.
point because, I mean, especially with Rocket Boys, like the South audience has already seen me do multitude of characters and, play different roles. But when they saw Rocket Boys, they felt like this freshness itself, which was beautiful because they came up to me and were like, that was so unexpected. Which I guess would be on the same lines of that, I guess. But
We get one shot to review a performance, which is when we see the film.
Yeah.
And whether you're 1 film old, 5 films old, 100 films old, that particular performance can be viewed only at that particular time. Unless, of course, you're watching a movie much after
Sure.
the release or whatever it is. But if I see you in a movie like Sri Lanka, which could be your first release or your 10th release or whatever it is, it's that particular performance that's being evaluated. So that's why I was curious about where you're going with
Right.
that. So
I feel that it's probably you're only as good as your last job. So probably the way I think this industry functions, at least I see the profession, is that you're only as good as your last job. For some reason, Godfather came to my mind. I was thinking of Al Pacino, and I mean, you have to judge a person based on his last work.
Al Pacino has done a couple things since The Godfather also, right?
No, but
But I was
since
thinking
you
about
speak-
those times, it's like when it came out and how he came under the spotlight. That's what I was referring to.
But I thought Al Pacino in Irishman. Now suddenly there was a freshness to
But
it.
what
There was
he's
something
saying,
different.
he's saying is completely different. What he's saying is
Actually,
beautiful.
yeah.
Actually, it's an interesting.
Because
thought.
as an audience, you also have a relation with that actor
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you've seen over a period
Yeah,
of time.
sure.
So sometimes
which
you
is what
lose that.
Jim was saying about
The
freshness.
experience also,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Sometimes they can surprise you, and when that surprise happens,
and that
more
comes
number
with
of times it happens.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the earlier part of your career, I'm saying, wow, I'm just seeing the character. But like maybe after
Right.
20 films, I'm seeing, Regina has done this role well,
Right.
or Jim has done this role well, or Ishwak has, that happens.
the
Whereas,
That's
difference
the beauty
between
of someone
personality and craft.
freshness.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the beauty of a
Interesting.
first-time, actor or someone you're seeing for the first time. The
Yeah,
innocence,
yeah.
the
You-
virginity, if I may say.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's beautiful,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You don't associate anything. You have no association to this person, just the character that they played.
So I will wait for 15 films before giving a verdict on your performance. So that's the thing, right? Finally, the trailer looks fantastic, and you just need the words how India became a nuclear nation to kind of pretty much make everybody watch the show, especially the people who loved season 1. So quickly, if you could, without spoilers, say what was your favorite part of season 2? Like it could be a scene, it could be like something that happened on the set or whatever it is, just to kind of intrigue me enough to say, okay, I mean, I'm already sold on it, but to kind of sell me a little more.
It just gets bigger, brighter, better with each
That sounds
scene.
like an art campaign. That's
No, but it's true. It's true, and that's why I've been always looking forward to season 2. And I can't think of a single scene which is functional, which is just connecting or a transitional moment. Every beat is so intense and is so meaningful, has a purpose. It's poetic in that sense.
It's also probably helps that you're going to hit the ground running without having to establish certain things that you had to in the first season.
Yeah.
Apart from all the science and the heaviness that's going on, there's also this track between Mrinalini and Vikram that a lot of people I know are looking forward to as well. And there's a beautiful performance that I'm looking forward to because it has Revanta in it as well.
Oh yeah.
Malika ma'am had choreographed this performance, and both of us put in our heart and soul and our feet as well into it. It was quite we shot from 9 p.m. in the night till 7 a.m. the next morning in the cold of Jaipur. So that is something I'm looking forward to when it comes to this thing and the scenes between them, because a lot of confrontation that happens, the way that Mrinalini does it. So apart from all of this that's also going on, right? There's this little parallel track.
Yeah.
So since we shot both the seasons almost parallelly in one go, but had a chunk left, at that time I thought my favorite part was shooting the whole Pokhran sequence.
Oh wow.
But then during the last schedule, obviously we shot the scene where, you shot the scene of Vikram's passing. I think that for me was my favorite. How's that a spoiler?
Is this like Subhash Chandra Bose? You're like wondering if he's still alive or something like that.
Spoiler.
What rubbish.
The emotional.
A hand comes out of the snow. You thought I was dead. Season 3, Zombie Homie Baba.
No, it was the whole emotional bond that Dr. Kalam shared with Dr. Sarabhai. I think that for me was the crux of the scene.
Nice.
The relationship between the two sort of came together in that one scene.
Nice. And you?
The last scene of the show, which comes back, I think, to just the basic tenets of what the story is about. And there's one scene which I'm really interested in seeing. We shot both of these in the second section, the little bit post season 1 release. There's a scene that leads up to me receiving some bad news on the phone about Pandit Nehru. And it's a long scene leading up to this phone call. And I really am very curious about how it's turned out. Because
You've not seen it yet?
No, it was...
Has any of you seen the...
No, nothing.
No.
Except when dubbing for a little bit of it.
Okay.
I saw a little bit of-
So I really don't know how it's turned out. It was a very weird and emotions all over the place scene to shoot. So I'm very curious.
Yeah, I hope it stays because, before this I was just having a conversation with Arjun, while we were waiting for the rest of you, and we were talking about how, because in theatres, the average audience age has come down so much that today, and it's they're about 22, 23, and they pretty much want to get right to the point and they don't want to build up to stuff. So I was interviewing an actor recently and he was talking about how like a 4-page scene got cut to just the essence of what that scene was about because they couldn't have the build up because people would start like getting antsy and like the cool down, and they just had to pretty much go there. But I'm glad this is on OTT, so we hope we see the entire scene, and good luck to all you guys, and
Thank you.
I can't
Thank
wait to
you.
watch this. So
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Experience 10 days of Grand Europe trip for easy EMI of Rs 25,000 only with GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
Wonder Diamonds, South India's largest lab-grown diamond brand, stores at Chennai, Coimbatore, Bangalore and Hyderabad.